Welcome to another episode of the All Facts podcast here, but this is different. There's no music to this episode. This is a very serious issue to talk about. And just a disclaimer, what I will speak about is very sensitive information, and this is a very pressing issue. So if you're having a good day, or if you don't feel like you want to listen to something too serious, I don't want to ruin your day from talking about something serious. But this is for the people listening that are dealing with mental health issues or know someone that's dealing with it, or just how to get out of it or never be in that situation in the first place. So I'm not going to pull out this motivational speech because I'm not that type of speaker. And the objective is to help those struggling with their mental state. As November passed, and although that was men's mental health awareness month, it's still an issue that should be talked about, or just even everyone should talk about it at any given month. I don't think there should be a specific one dedicated towards it. It should be talked about all the time. But one issue that heavily impacts men is depression and suicide. And I'll show some stats here because stats don't lie. But globally, suicide rates in men are just over twice as high. Twice as high as that's not a good thing. As for women, in 2017, the global suicide rate for women was 6.3 per 100,000. And for men, it was 13.9 in 100,000 per 100,000 people. That is not a great thing to see, which is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling because even though it's so much, in some countries, it's either tripled or even worse. And therapists say is that toxic masculinity is a huge barrier as it leads to many problems. That means society teaches men to just value, like we all know society teaches men to value qualities like stoicism, isolation, and trying to control their emotions rather than just feeling and regulate them. Men are often viewed as protectors and caretakers. While it is a good thing, it can also lead to a very closed mindset, or what I mean by it's very traditional, or just that I can do this all by myself. I don't need help, rather than something like that. But Dan Luzick, the director of outpatient therapy of Abe Health, he says that men have often told to tough it out or to sacrifice for many others. And although in society it is true, and I do think maybe like who if someone else has to do it, but for some it's led to suppressed emotions, and it prevented conversations about both physical and mental illness. Because the hopeful part of it is that Lusick says is that in Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, it actually makes it easier for men to open up and continue to have a conversation about it. He says because, and he says, this quote unquote, we really need to make talking about depression, anxiety, and stress just like any other health issue. And I completely agree with that. Pretty sure everyone agrees with that. We need to be able to just say, how is that for you? How is that for you? How can I help you? Asking the same kind of questions you would to any other issue. My opinion on that is just, I completely agree. Because when we think about it, because men have that tough it out scenario, it's not that they're not going to be able to be open about their health mentally, and they're not going to be open to just go because they'll feel like they're weak for that. But yet what Luzick is trying to say here is that it's not afraid. Like it's not something to be ashamed about, because a lot of people deal with it. So it's not any difference if you or someone else does it too. Everyone else deals with the same situation, or everyone else can deal with the same situation. But the hope, Luzick says, is that Mental Health Awareness Month, makes it easier for men to open up and continue a national conversation about it. However, the Abe Mental Health Center in Cedar Rapids says men are also 25% less likely to schedule routine doctor's appointment. And that's exactly what I was talking about when I said men are less likely to just go to therapy because they think it's something shameful. But that means that they're not just reaching out to mental health professionals. It also means that they're not sharing their feelings with their friends or their loved ones either, because they're always told to toughen it out. But this has been a problem for a very long time because they're always known as a figure to lead everything, to sacrifice, and sometimes it all goes down the wrong path. We've seen it with athletes, we've seen it with uh, actors, we've seen it with many other people. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have dealt with scenarios like this, or not scenarios. A lot of people have probably known someone personally that's gone through this, and sometimes you'll see it as it has to do with their upbringing and how they nurture their life. But with this, bad habits happen, and it can lead to a breakdown because there's this one idea called nature versus nurture. Who you are, who it's a debate of how you were brought up in life. It was in nature. Were you born with an issue, or did you come to it? Did you learn of it, and then it just became something of a habit? So enough with the sad talk here. Let's just go on to with some great advice. So, like some great advice is just obviously just seek help wherever it is, whether it be family, friends, and others, doctors. It doesn't matter. Just be open about it to anyone, especially if you're dealing with a very hard crisis. With this, there will be a developed, helpful approach to help anyone let their personal feelings guide you in expressing their opinions and reactions. The best way to get out of it is the truth is told. Because when lies are told, the situation really gets worse. As we all know, honesty is really the best. No, it's not really. Honesty is the best policy. Someone with mental illness can experience periods of instability on their way to getting better. If you know anyone personally, listen to this. When necessary, encourage them to see support groups or mental health organizations and associations for information. I said this before. I'm very sure a lot of people agree with me on this too. It's not a shameful thing. Help and support. If a person refuses, it's best to just be patient, because if you're gonna just tell them to do something on and on, it's bothering them, it's not gonna help them anyway, because being patient and keep listening in order to understand their reasoning, it's very it cannot lead to a refusal. So continue encouraging them, yes, but don't just go off and be annoying about it. Just be patient with it. Eventually they will reach out for help. And if they can't do it alone, offer to go with them, as that can help in making up their mind. And if anything does not work, then it's just advised to see a doctor if you really can. But if you see anyone like this, you know what's best because you know them. But if you see anyone like this, if anyone is dealing with this thing personally, or they just know someone, that's it. You know what's best because you know the person, you know yourself, you know it's tough. I know it's tough too, and I probably have not been in your shoes for some of you listening, but I can imagine it would be a very difficult hardship. But there's one quote I've learned throughout the years of my life that helps to stay positive and never enter a downfall, or try to not enter a downfall. And that quote is, "Indeed, every hardship comes ease." This helps to not fall into a black hole where we'll feel remorse, but it is something to just think about. When you think about it, indeed, every hardship comes ease. It helps to be optimistic. Again, I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker, as I'm speaking from my thoughts so it can help me grow and understand what to do when anything like this happens to me, or if I see someone in this scenario. But I'm saying this as help. If you are dealing with problems, just know you're not alone. There's many other people doing it, and I care about you because I don't want suicide is a very huge problem, and I would want the rates lower every year. Or I don't want the rates at all, actually. It's just 0, 0. But I hope to have made a change. Especially when I'm uploading this. I hope you follow the advice or you help someone with the advice. It is great that you might have saved a life, but also this isn't the only time to speak about mental health, as anyone and every time should be talking about this issue because it's very needed around the world. And one person could be helped by it. And eventually, this is some analogy. I've heard this analogy pretty recently, actually, and is that life is a parabola. And for you math lovers, it is a y equals a x minus h squared. Okay, plus I'm not a nerd here. I'm just gonna, when you see a parabola, you'll start from the top. And then the top can be the best moment of your life. It can be the best moment. It could be, yeah, no, it can be the greatest moment you've ever had. And then later on, it's hard to top that best moment. You'll go down and down, you'll get worse and worse and worse. But then at some point you will reach that rock bottom, that terrible point you want to be at. The point where I'm trying to possibly make you get away from. But you will hit that rock bottom. But then when you get motivated or you ask for help and you understand with every hardship, hardship comes ease, then you can get back up to where you left off. And this can motivate you to be resilient and know this is temporary. And with some help, you can get to the top of the parabola again. And if anything, you probably don't even have to go down. You just go up and up and up. Your parabola is just extending. I hope I've spoken for a good cause here. And if you listen to this and you're dealing with many issues, or you just are seeing it happen to someone, I would just say, number one, of course, seek help. Of course, seek help. Number two, be patient with it because because for some people it will take time for them to take time for them to ask help, and then just remember, with every hardship comes ease. It's gonna be tough. It's always gonna be tough, but the best way is just the truth should be told, because when lies are told, the situation gets worse. So hopefully you learned a few bits from this episode. And if you want me to touch on another topic, you can probably send a message here. You can probably send a message on Anchor, which I can listen to, and I can add your voice message to the podcast, where then I can talk about that issue or whatever you want me to talk about. Hopefully you will check out my other episodes. But all I gotta say is this is the All Facts Podcast, and I'm out.